Hello, hello! Welcome to another episode of History in the Dark. I am your host, Darkness the Curse. And before we begin, as always, thank you so much to my generous patrons, my British Rail critics, and of course my underwater train finders. You are the reason why this content remains the best around. No one's gonna ever keep us down. We're the best around. And today we're gonna be talking about more of the best trains ever, guys. It's back again. You guys have wanted to do more of this, and yeah, I can do more of this. Five of the best trains ever. Part 8. The New South Wales 44 Class. 44 Class are diesel-electric locomotives that were built by AE Goodwin for the New South Wales Department of Railways. They are Australian, and 100 of them were produced between 1957 and 1967. Naturally, based on their appearance, yeah, they were modeled kind of like EMDs, the bulldog nose they got going on, but they're very square. A bit more like Alco's take on that design, actually. Totally on purpose, since these were license-built locomotives based on the Alco DL500Bs. They weren't identical to them, but they were very similar, and they were actually fitted with Alco 12 251B engines. Now, you probably can't tell based on the pictures, but they're actually double-ended. The bulldog nose is on one side, but there is actually a cab in the back, going with typical practice of anywhere that isn't America, of having diesels that are double-ended. It's really normal for everywhere but North America in general. And during their career, which lasted a very, very long time into, now, they pulled every type of train imaginable with success. They were genuinely good diesels, and did the job that the railway needed. Some started being withdrawn in the 80s, but many survived into the 90s in regular service, with the last one being withdrawn in July of 1997. But I already said that some are still in service, and it's off and on, actually. Most of them wound up scrapped, because, yeah, that's about normal, but several are still in preservation. 2 are in storage, and 2 are considered operational. The ones that are operational are sometimes sent on loan for mainline duties when other railways need extra power. They still occasionally do actual regular service work outside of their homes on preserved railways, which is a great display of excellence for locomotives that are over 50 years old. The FS Class 691. Italy, I got you. I got you guys. I got you. I totally went out of my way to make sure I got a good locomotive from Italy. Based on direct request. My Italian fans wanted a good locomotive from their country. I got you. Mr. Worldwide, remember. The 691 is a class of Pacific locomotives, 462s, that were actually rebuilds based off of Class 690. Class 690s weren't very good because they were poor steamers due to a small firebox. Very Henry of them, actually. But it was thought that this could be corrected, and the result was the 691. And they were great. Once the rebuilds were conducted, the 691s proved excellent. They're actually the fastest and most powerful steam locomotives ever built for Italian railways. And they were mostly used to pull the heaviest and fastest express trains, which they did flawlessly. 3 of them were lost during World War II, but the rest still carried on until the early 60s when they were finally withdrawn. There were 33 members of this class of locomotive, however, only 1 wound up in preservation. That single example is 691.022, which is on static display at the in Milan. It's in Milan. You can find it after that. I can read Leonardo da Vinci. Does that help? I got you there. The DSB Class MY. These are another class of diesel-electric locomotives that were built between 1954 and 1965 by NOHAB, a manufacturing company based in Sweden. 59 units were built in total and were delivered to the Danish State Railways. They're actually powered by EMD engines, and signaled a significant change in their rolling stock policy over there. See, for a long time, Motive power had been sourced within Denmark, so NOHAB based the diesels off of more American practice and powered them with EMD engines. And the result was actually quite excellent. 59 were built in total, alongside another class, the MXs, which were lighter and intended to replace steam on branch lines. The MYs were the main line diesels. They lasted until 2001, and by that I mean technically 2010, because the Danish State Railways kept one unit around, 1135, to run a special train. Then she was handed over to the Danish Railway Museum in Odense to haul heritage trains along with her sister, 1101. A fine class of locomotive all around, but I can't get over their appearance. Yeah, they got that bulldog nose, but they just look so surprised all the time. Like, I guess it's because I'm human and we like to see faces and things, but, I mean, look at it. It looks like an EMD that just got scared by a mouse or something. Oh goodness, what was that? Oh! But they were great locomotives either way. The Lancashire and Yorkshire Railway Class 5s. These were tank engines, 242Ts, built in the United Kingdom, and introduced in 1889. They were not withdrawn until 1961. They lasted that long, but it wasn't without good reason. The UK, in particular, was always really good at tank engines, and the Class 5s are a perfect example of that ability. 310 of these little guys were produced, and they were exceptional at what they were for. They were, in fact, adapted into the Class 6s, which were built between 1911 and 1914. A total of 64 of them wound up being produced, with 44 of that being rebuilt of the Class 5s. In service, these locomotives allegedly suffered zero teething troubles, and they gained a reputation for handling some of the most difficult routes that the network had. And like I said, they continued to be worked heavily right up until the end of steam entirely. Only one of these amazing locomotives wound up preserved, number 1008, which was actually the first Class 5 engine to be built. It was withdrawn in 1954 after 65 years of service, and it's now on static display at the National Railway Museum. The Zero Series Shinkansen. You know, I have gotten a lot of people that have been wanting me to mention this. And yes, it is Japanese. And yes, it is that Japanese train. The Japanese train. The Shinkansen train sets were built to run on Japan's high-speed line, which opened in 1964. The Zero Series was ambitious and bold, and really no one ever thought it could work outside of Japan. During the time this was being developed, in terms of short distance travel, cars were the answer. In terms of long distance, it was planes. That's what the world thought. A lot of people thought that trains didn't really have much of a place outside of possible regional service for people that didn't own cars or couldn't afford them. But the Shinkansen Zero Series changed that mentality entirely by introducing a train that was so fast that it could in fact outcompete airplanes. It was too fast for a car to compete with, and it was fast enough where even though some planes could go faster, if you factor in the time it takes to get on the plane and take off and land and get back to the gate and the whole thing, and then there's security and modern day and everything else that goes along with air travel, yeah, the train was way faster, and it was cheaper to operate, and therefore was more affordable to consumers. Shinkansen was amazingly successful, allowing people to get around the country at a pace no one had ever considered before. And they got the rest of the world paying attention, and other countries scrambled to introduce their own high-speed trains. In service, the Zero Series lasted for 44 years, and there's quite a few preserved examples of them sitting in places all over Japan. It's a cultural highlight, an astonishing symbol of progress for a country that was ravaged by the horrors of World War II, and helped lead them to become a technological powerhouse in terms of modern tech development. And don't think they're done with trains, oh no, because now they got the maglevs. I'm not sure I could put the maglev on this list at the moment because, well, it doesn't run on rails, so some people don't even call it a regular train, though it is still technically a train, and I just don't think it's been long enough for it to have been proven as best ever. But it is working, even when a lot of other people said it wouldn't. So, you know, how about we just stop underestimating Japan's technical prowess? How about that? I think that's a good idea, because they always prove us wrong in this department. And with that, a special thank you to all my underwater train finders. Sundew267, Orange Glass, Royal Hudson 2860, Benjamin Owens, Panzer Kitsune 131-232, Mr. Black Rose, Josh Johnson, Middle for Life Guy, Anzac A1, Arthur Roy, DM Trouble Typhoon, Tommy Rossini, Lord Captain Von Thrust III, Joshua Long, Brian, Jack Carson's Railroad Videos, Hayden DeGrow, Master of None, Dr. Racer 78, Crystal Morgan, Ohio Trucker 1, Lord Hoth 444, Alaric Jaspers, The Baxter, That Guy with a Beard, NG5, and Mark Holding. Till next time, this is Darkness, and I bid you all a fond farewell.